Thank you. Uh, Respected DG sir, Professor Jyotish Satyapalan, Srikanth, and our chief guest, Madam Governor of Telangana and Puducherry, our ex-DGs who are present here, uh, Dr. W.R. Reddy and Matthew Kumikal Sahab, and S.M. Vijayanand sir, who is supposed to join shortly. A very warm good morning. I am happy to extend my welcome to all for this 63rd Foundation Day celebration of NIRDPR. Usually, the Foundation Day of NIRDPR is celebrated in the month of November, and thus we are celebrating it from 23rd to 25th November. Many activities like Foundation Day Memorial Lecture, Rural Management Institute Meet, book releases, and film festivals are planned as part of the Foundation Day program. I am privileged to welcome uh, Dr. Tamil Sai Sandarajan, Honorable Governor Telangana, on this occasion. We, the NIRDPR fraternity, is lucky to have Madam Honorable Governor of Telangana virtually with us on this very important event. We thank you, ma'am, for agreeing to our request. Uh, then we have got the message that Secretary RD will be also joining us virtually. So I want to thank Sir NN Sinha, Sir, Secretary RD, for joining us. I also invite the representative of various institutions who are joining physically and virtually to discuss the way of collaboration with NIRDPR, how to progress in future. Welcome all to this event. I take this opportunity to welcome all the faculty, employees, project staff, and the students of NIRDPR and young fellows and state coordinators of 250 clusters to this 63rd Foundation Day celebration. Hope we derive the best from this Foundation Day to take forward our agenda of rural development for this beloved institute. Thank you all, and once again, welcome all.
Thank you, sir, for delivering the welcome address. Now, we have a presentation by Dr. G. Narendra Kumar, IAS, Director General, NIRDPR, Hyderabad. Sir is known for his instrumental work, contribution in the field of education, administration, and policy advocacy. Sir, you are requested to come to the dais to share your presentation on NIRDPR and significant achievements. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Her Excellency, the Governor of Telangana and the Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Deputy Director in charge, Sri Shashi Bhushan, Registrar in charge, Sri Srikanth, Professor Jyotish Satyapalan, former Director Generals of NIRD who are present here, faculty members of NIRD, employees and students of NIRD. It's indeed a great pleasure to welcome you all to the 63rd Foundation Day of the NIRDPR. Especially, I take this opportunity to thank Her Excellency the Governor of Telangana for gracing this occasion despite her busy schedule, and with her permission, would like to now go ahead with the presentation of NIRDPR. NIRDPR, as most of us are aware, is a 63-year-old institution which has made monumental contributions to rural development in the country. It started in 1958 in Uttarakhand, Mussoorie, as Central Institute of Study and Research and Community Development. Then in 1962, it moved to Hyderabad, when it was called the National Institute of Community Development. Then in 2014, Panchayati Raj was added to the NIRD and it became NIRDPR. Now, NIRD has its headquarters in Hyderabad with branches in Delhi, Guwahati, and in Vaishali, Bihar. We have 21 centers organized in 7 different schools, and this is the description of the 21 centers. I would not like to go into the details of what each of these centers do, but they are up to speed in making valuable contributions to rural development in the country. And we have got two resource cells, the NRLM resource cell, National Rural Livelihood Mission resource cell, and the Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana resource cell, which are also which are implementation units of the ministry and present in the NIRD. We also have a rural technology park in NIRD, which deals with grassroots technology and grassroots level interventions, because NIRD focuses its efforts on being a think tank for the Ministry of Rural Development and for capacity building the states and up to the district level, but grassroots level interventions we do through various technological initiatives through the Rural Technology Park, which operates on a public-private partnership model as a production cum training facility in the main. We have a very large, well-endowed library with more than 1.2 lakh books, and it is the largest collection of knowledge on rural development in Asia. We have an evolving vision for the National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj to have an inclusive and sustainable improvement in the quality of life of people living in rural India, which we want to accomplish through various perspectives which are given here. I would not dilate upon this. The mission of NIRDPR is to be a think tank for the Ministry of Rural Development and contribute to improvements in the programs, projects, policies of the Government of India, and also capacity building for the Ministry of Rural Development, for the state departments of rural development, Panchayati Raj, and up to the district level functionaries. We have a challenge in reaching to the Panchayat level for capacity building, which we want to undertake through the non-governmental organizations. This in brief is the evolving vision and mission of the NIRDPR, which we want to operationalize through various initiatives, which include creation of knowledge through our research initiatives and disseminating that knowledge through capacity building initiatives. A research-driven capacity building is what we are focusing on. Then we focus on technology and innovations. Because now the merger of CAPART with NIRD, appropriate technologies is a subject that NIRD deals with very substantially. In addition to work on the non-governmental sectors, making the non-governmental organizations accountable and efficient, we focus on high quality human resources. We want our human resources to be of high quality, especially our faculty member. We will be focusing on sustainable financing and value of money at some point in time. NIRD's corpus would be sufficient to sustain its activities, we hope. Then our focus is also on building infrastructure and process excellence. We are developing various centers of excellence with funding from the Ministry of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, and we're charting out various pathways for each school and center. And this is the way we want to operationalize the vision and mission. There are 6 areas of focus for NIRD, and these are given here: research consultancy, training capacity building, and policy formulation, technology transfer, academic programs, innovative skilling. So we also deliver a number of international programs with support from the ITEC, India Technical and Economic Cooperation, CIRDAP, Center for Integrated Rural Development for Asia and the Pacific, the ARDO, African Asian Rural Development Organization, so on and so forth. So we work with a number of organizations, including the UNICEF, the World Bank, and so on. We organize a number of conclaves, which include the Rural Innovators Startup Conclave, the RTP National Mela SIRD Conclave, Urban Clusters Conclave, State Election Commissioners Conclave, and a WASH Conclave. So we have a number of trainees passing through NIRD's portal. And last year, 2020-21, we had almost 1 lakh trainees pass through NIRD portals. And we undertake a number of research activities and a number of research projects funded both externally as well as by NIRD. And this is the description of the number of research programs which have been undertaken for over the past about 6 odd years or so. And this is about 355 research projects we have undertaken. Research projects are widely disseminated and also integrated in our capacity building efforts. In addition, NIRD also offers a number of PG diploma courses. There are 7 PG diploma courses. 2 are held face-to-face, remaining are held in distance mode. We also offer a number of certificate programs which are given here, including those on internal audit, social audit, rural livelihoods, natural resource management, and so on. We publish a flagship journal called the Journal of Rural Development. We also bring out the rural development statistics, which are well-recognized publications in the world of rural development knowledge. We have increasingly taken to offering our courses online through a portal called the e-Gram Prasikshana. As we talk, there are about 55 courses which are live on this portal, available to various functionaries of the government and others. We have also taken to hosting a number of IGOT courses, which is the Prime Minister's mandate. And typically, number of repetitious courses are taken online, and we try to induct new courses in their place. We've recently organized a Mela, which is called the Saras Mela, which is ongoing in Delhi's India International Trade Fair. And on this pattern, the Saras Melas are organized in different states of India. Saras Mela of Delhi is the ideal Mela for the states to emulate. And some of the landmark achievements of NIRD that I now turn to, that we have trained almost about 5 lakh individuals and government functionaries. And we have trained about 8,145 delegates, and 1,317 research projects have been taken up. And we've recently evolved something called an SIRD grading, because NIRD operates in a cascading mode through the SIRD, States Institutes of Rural Development, NIRD being an apex training and capacity building organizations. We deliver our training programs and capacity building efforts through the State Institutes of Rural Development in a cascading mode. To assess the performance of the State Institute of Rural Development, we've developed a grading framework, and we're trying to also develop the SIRDs into regional centers of excellence as per our guidance by our Executive Council. Some of the landmark achievements of NIRD on the whole have been district planning, evolution of district planning methodologies based on rural growth centers model, then preparation of guidelines for the integrated rural development program in 1980, the model bills for Panchayati Raj and the model bill for the right to information have been nurtured and developed here. We designed the social audit methodology, and NIRD today is the largest knowledge repository of social audit in the country. And India is the lead social audit player in the world. So that makes us a very significant player in social audit. We have established the Rural Technology Park, as I was mentioning to you earlier. Some of our recent notable achievements are as follows: that we have launched the People's Plan campaign, which was launched in 2018 or so, and about 95% of the Gram Panchayats have now been brought under this, and typical output of about 2.5 lakh Panchayats under this is the development of a Gram Panchayat development plan, quality of which we are now trying to improve through various efforts. And social audit guidelines have been developed by NIRD for MG Narega, National Social Assistance Program, Prime Minister Awas Yojana, Grameen, Urban, and so on. We're now spreading our wings under social audit to move to the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and so on. We did a phenomenal study on 1 decade of MG Narega. Time and motion studies on the MG Narega are ongoing. Several states have adopted the schedule of rates developed by NIRD under the time and motion study. We've also developed a Panchayat Citizens Charter to empower the citizens and to demand services to be delivered by the Panchayat in a time-bound manner and as per the laid down standards. We've also developed guidelines for the Block Panchayat Development Plan, District Panchayat Development Plan, and for the effective integration with the Gram Panchayat Development Plans. We monitored 1.74 lakh kilometers of roads using the geospatial applications. 64 Saras Melas are organized in the country, and we facilitate the organization of these Melas through organizing one ideal Mela at Delhi. We recently launched the 250 model Gram Panchayat clusters to capacity build the Gram Panchayats and the Panchayats of various tiers through by inducting young fellows and inducting various knowledge inputs, and to develop these as model panchayats, which would be in turn spur the development of beacon panchayats. Under the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we have developed 93 programs, of which 42 have been completed. Every week we have one program ongoing under the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Technology transfer has been one of the strong points of NIRD. We've done phenomenal work in solar and wind technology transfer. National Rural Livelihood Mission's resource cell in NIRD continues to do very good work, and we are promoting and hand-holding about 3.5 lakh functionaries under the NRLM. The DDU GKY works as a central technical support agency for about 18 states in the country. We also act as an appraisal agency and a national resource organization for the Ministry of Rural Development. As I was mentioning to you, we've already developed an SIRD grading framework, which will enable the SIRDs to improve their performance and to deliver better results. We've also moved a lot of our courses onto IGOT, which is mandated by the Prime Minister. We handhold the farmer producer organizations, and we've trained about 1,700 board of directors, 400 CEOs, and about 400 producer organizations. The Honorable Minister for Rural Development wanted us to work on remodeling the urban clusters and developing different economic models to make the urban clusters sustainable. We've done a substantial amount of work in the recent past, which we are sharing with the Ministry of Rural Development to strengthen the urban clusters and their urban program. As I was mentioning to you, NGO's work was inherited by the NIRDPR because of its merger with CAPART. So our focus is on making the NGOs of this country more efficient and accountable, and we're developing different models to enable this. Then we have developed recent contracts for service delivery by the panchayats in the wash sector through outsourcing. This has been another significant notable achievement. And all these achievements have been possible through the efforts of the faculty with support of the Ministry of Rural Development, Panchayati Raj, and others. And I compliment the faculty and the employees of NIRD for making this happen and for making these significant achievements. And we have high hopes from NIRD faculty and employees to be able to take the nation onto the path of progress and to reach the expectations of the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Minister for Rural Development. So on this occasion, we are beholden to commit ourselves to the task of rural development and development of the Panchayati Raj in this country. So in that direction, this Foundation Day, we are organizing a few of these events which are listed here. We have a Foundation Day memorial lecture which will be delivered tomorrow. And we have a Rural Management Institutes meet, which brings together some of the institutes with whom we work and forge our relationships with these institutes. We have a Director General's meet, where the former Director Generals will be coming here and guiding us on our future vision and what we can learn from the past and take it forward to strengthen NIRD and its work. We also have some book releases and film festival. So this is all I had to say about NIRD, its recent achievements and some landmark achievements of the past. And I once again thank the Honorable Governor for taking her time off to participate in this in this event, and her presence is really encouraging to us, and we will look forward to her continued guidance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful presentation. I now request Dr. Jyotis Satyapalan to introduce the book, Rural Development Statistics.
Good morning. Her Excellency, Governor to Telangana State, Dr. Tamil Sai Sundararajan, respected Secretary to the Rural Development, Government of India, Sri N.N. Sinha, IAS, the DG NIRDPR, Dr. G. Narendra Kumar, IAS, the DDG in charge, Sri Shashibhushan, ICAS, and former DGs, W.R. Reddy sir, Matthew Kunungal sir, and many other distinguished guests and my colleagues. I'm extremely happy to introduce this the compilation of a statistics for rural development here. This is the 31st series of compilation of rural development statistics. It's publishing every year from the NIRDPR. The main aim of this publication is to bring rural development statistics under one umbrella and make useful for policy making, strategy making, etc. And also for micro planning level it is used. That's the main purpose of this one. And this issue consists of 300 tables, and it is compiled from the census and also NSSO, CSO, and many places it is compiled and brought it. And we usually print around 500 copies of the statistics and disseminate this information across the Indian bureaucracy, all, particularly to the secretary level, at the state level, and UTs and all. And this is a happy moment to release this book. I humbly request the respected Honorable Governor to Telangana State, Dr. Tamilsai Sundararajan, to release this book. Thank you. We will release that. We seek the permission to release the book physically here by the Director General, NIRDPR.
Thank you, Honorable Madam Governor and dignitaries. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed our honor and privilege as we take you through the journey of our Honorable Madam Governor, Dr. Tamilisai Soundararajan. Madam Governor took charge as Governor of Telangana on 8 September 2019 and happens to be the first woman to hold this office. She started her career as medical practitioner after completing MBBS, followed by postgraduate in gynecology, succeeded by an illustrious political career in 2 decades, where she has successfully led the state unit of a political party with noteworthy accomplishments. Madam Governor nurtures great devotion towards public service and enhancement of living standards of common people with focus on health and education. Madam Governor is known for a strong advocacy towards uplifting living standards of people through better health and preventive care. Madam is a proud recipient of an international award titled International Rising Star of the Year 2018 by Multi-Ethnic Advisory Task Force, United States of America, under US Congressman Danny K. Davis for her services to the society, especially in the field of politics, public and medical services. I now request Madam Governor to address the audience.
Special good morning to each and everyone, and my respects to Shri Giriraj Singh Ji, the Honorable Union Minister of Rural Development, New Delhi, who is going to attend the conference through virtual mode, and Dr. G. Narendra Kumar IAS, Director General, National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayat Raj, Hyderabad. Shri Shashi Bhushan, Deputy Director General, National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayat Raj, Hyderabad. Shri M. Srikanth, Registrar and Director, National Institute of Rural Development, Panchayat Raj, Hyderabad. And Professor Jyotis Satyapalan, National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayat Raj, Hyderabad. Good morning to all and all the dignitaries and all the people who are present here. And I want to start with our Honorable Prime Minister's words. The development of villages and empowerment of poor is to strengthen the India. A big dream of India becoming a 5 trillion economy cannot be achieved without the inclusion of villages. The rural development is the process of improving the quality of life and the economic well-being of people living in rural areas. According to 2011 census, 68.84% of population lives in villages. The backwardness of the rural sector would be a major impediment to the overall progress of the economy. The problem in rural development are mainly categorized as people-related problems, agriculture-related problems, infrastructure-related problems, economic problems, leadership-related problems, administrative problems. These problems are independent and influence the complete rural system. These challenges must be addressed for the development of the overall rural system. The All India Rural Credit Review Committee 2003 in its report warned if the fruits of development continue to be denied to the large section of rural community, whilst prosperity accrues to some, the tension, the social and economic may not only upset the process of orderly and peaceful change in the rural economy, but even frustrate the national efforts to set the agricultural production. Today, inclusive rural development is more specific concept. More specifically, inclusive rural development covers three different but interrelated dimensions: economic dimension, social dimension, and political dimension. Economic dimension encompasses providing both capacity and opportunities for the poor and low economic households in particular benefit from economic growth. Social dimension supports social development of poor and low economic households, promotes gender equality and women empowerment, and provides social safety nets for vulnerable groups. Political dimension improves the opportunities for the poor and low-income people in rural areas to effectively and equally participate in the political processes at the village level. Rural development is expected to focus holistically on education, public health, and sanitation. Women empowerment, infrastructure development, electricity, irrigation, etc., facilities for agriculture extension and research, availability of credit, employment opportunities, etc. in rural areas. Rural development India has witnessed several changes over the years in its emphasis, approaches, strategies, and programs. It has assumed a new dimension and perspective as consequences. When it comes to rural development, we should not merely think of how much budget was allotted. We must look at Jan Suvidha in entirely, said our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji. Truly reflecting this ideology, the government's policy and programs have laid emphasis on poverty alleviation, generation of employment and income opportunities, and provision of infrastructure and basic facilities to meet the needs of rural poor. In addition to strengthen the grassroots level democracy, the government is consistently endeavoring to empower Panchayat Raj institutions in terms of function, powers, and finance. Gram Sabha, NGOs, self-help groups, and PRIs have been accorded adequate roles to make participatory democracy meaningful and effective. Some of the activities to ensure rural development are implementing poverty eradication programs in rural areas, addressing basic needs and enhancing provision of an access to services as precursor to improve livelihood, providing social protection programs to the vulnerable households, in particular the aged persons with disabilities and unemployed, many of whom are in rural areas. Build social capital by empowering women and small-scale farmers and indigenous people. promote equal access to land, water, financial resources, and technologies to vulnerable groups, improve access to rural people and communities to information, education, extension services, and learning resources, knowledge and training to support sustainable development planning and decision making. Investing in essential infrastructure and services for rural communities, support training and capacity building of rural communities to for self-organization for building social capital. Strengthen rural healthcare facilities and capacities, train and increase the number of health and nutritional professionals, and sustain the expand access to primary healthcare system. This will help, particularly in situations like pandemic, not only to spread the awareness, but to take the message of vaccination to the people of rural India. Promote the development of rural organizations such as community-driven cooperatives to enhance investment in essential infrastructure and services and recognize the role of urban areas in fostering rural development. Carry out extensive education and awareness raising on the rights of women and the concept of empowerment and gender equality in rural areas. There are a lot of capacity building requirements of rural development and Panchayat Raj functionaries to deliver the program effectively. I appreciate the role of played by National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayat Raj, along with the states contributing to the capacity building needs to rural development functionaries, elected representatives, bankers, NGOs, and other stakeholders through the interrelated activities of training, research, and consultancy. I congratulate all the occasion of 63rd Foundation Day for your achievements all these days and wish you to take forward the agenda successfully in the coming years with more commitment. I should say I should have present that personally to honor you and to honor the 63rd Foundation Day, but because of heavy floods here in Puducherry and regular monitoring is day-to-day monitoring is needed, and because of the arrival of the central team, with whom which I should interact and take forward the activities of flood relief, I am here, but I am very happy that I have got connected with you virtually. Finally, Thiruvalluvar said, a saint, the popular saint said, Tirukural said, health, wealth, protection, happiness, and security. The 5 things a country needs to make a country good. Same is also applicable to our villages too. Let us all strive hard to achieve all these 5 in our villages. Thank you all. Jai Hind, Jai Telangana.
Thank you, Honorable Governor Madam. We request Dr. M. Shrikant, Registrar in Charge, NIRDPR Hyderabad, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good morning to all of you. Honorable Chief Guest, Her Excellency Dr. Tamilsai Soundararajan, Governor of Telangana State and Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, respected Director General Dr. G. Narendra Kumar, IAS, Deputy Director General in charge Sri Shashibhushan Ji, ICAS, Professor Jyoti Satyapalan Ji, former Director General Dr. W.R. Reddy, IAS, Dr. Matthew Kunnamkal, IAS, Sri S.M. Vijayanand Ji, IAS, for participating in this particular August occasion. Apart from my dear faculty, dear participants from the project staff, on behalf of NIRDPR and its entire fraternity, I feel immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks. On behalf of NIRDPR, I take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to Her Excellency Dr. Tamilsai Soundararajan, Honorable Governor Telangana State and Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, for giving her valuable time despite her busy schedule to preside over the 63rd Foundation Day celebrations of NIRDPR and also sharing her valuable insights on rural development, Panchayati Raj, social capital, NGOs, research and training related to NIRDPR. I, I once again thank our Director General for guiding all of us to celebrate this 63rd Foundation Day celebrations of NIRDPR, Deputy Director General, and other faculty members, Dr. Dheeraja, Dr. M.V. Ravi Babu, officers as well as employees who are involved in this particular occasion for making this program a grand success. Thank you once and all.
Thank you, sir. As we are closing the session, we now invite BVBV students for national anthem. We request everyone to stand at their respective places.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभाशिष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable time. Thank you, students. Everyone, kindly be seated. All dignitaries are requested to move for the group photograph followed by high tea in the lawn. And all members are requested to proceed for high tea in the lawn. All are requested to be back to the auditorium for the second session of the program sharp at 11:15. Thank you, everyone.
स्टार्ट हो गया
Once again, we welcome the dignitaries and other participants after a refreshing tea break. Everyone, please be seated. Now I request our Honorable Director General Dr. G. Narendra Kumar IAS, NIRDPR, to kindly come to the dais. Now I request Professor Jyotish Satyapalan to join us on the stage. Now I request Shri S.M. Vijayanand, IAS, retired, former Director General, NIRDPR, to join us virtually. Sir is joining us shortly. Now I request Shri Matthew C. Kunamkal, IAS, retired, former Director General, NIRDPR, to join us on the dais. Now I request Dr. W.R. Reddy, IAS, retired, former Director General, NIRDPR, to join us on the dais. So now let me give a brief introduction of our dignitaries. Shri Matthew C. Kunamkal. Sir is a 1976 batch Kerala cadre IAS officer. He held all three levels of administration positions in NIRD at different times. First, he was a registrar and director from April 1986 to February 1990. He again joined as Deputy Director General from March 1999 to March 2004. He worked as Director General from February 2010 to September 2011. In this way, he has very close association with NIRDPR. His experience at NIRDPR and his administrative efficiency provided a head start to Killa. He played a key role in putting the institution at par with reputed national institutions and creating a cultural ambience for effective training. Shri Matthew C. Kunamkal also contributed immensely as a member of the Kerala Administrative Tribunal. Going ahead.
Dr. W.R. Reddy, sir. Sir is a 1986 batch Kerala cadre IAS officer. He holds a doctorate in genetics from the prestigious Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi. He is also a gold medalist in PGDA from Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi. He worked both in the states and the central for multiple capacities, mostly engaged in rural upliftment and building good governance practices and institutions. He worked as district collector in Kerala and as a director general of National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, Hyderabad. Sir has made tremendous contributions for the welfare of the rural development and for farmers of the country.
Now let's move forward onto the session to look back, to look forward and visioning the future with former Director Generals. Sorry for that. Now I welcome Shri S.M. Vijayanand sir, retired IAS, former Director General of NIRDPR. Thank you, sir, for joining us virtually. Let me give a brief introduction about sir. Sir Vijayanand is a 1981 batch Kerala cadre IAS officer, former Chief Secretary to the Government of Kerala. In the past, he has served as the Secretary, Ministry of Panchayati Raj, Government of India. Additional Secretary, Minister of Rural Development, Government of India, among other positions, and spearheaded Rajiv Gandhi Drinking Water Mission, Ministry of Sanitation, Government of India from 1992 to 1996. At present, he is chairing the 6th Finance Commission of Kerala. He has conceptualized and operationalized Kudumbashree, a women's self-help group movement in the state of Kerala. He also has deep interest in strengthening the decentralized governance and contributed for strengthening the Gram Panchayats. He wholeheartedly believes that the future sustainable development of India is dependent on how strongly we nurture the Gram Panchayat leadership and enable them to plan, execute and lead towards sustainable development with equity and inclusiveness. Now I request our Honorable Director General G. Narendra Kumar IAS, NIRDPR, to chair the session, Look Back to Look Forward and Visioning the Future with former Director Generals and Deputy Director Generals. And I also request Professor Jyoti Satyapalan to share his presentation. I hand over this session to Dr. G. Narendra Kumar IAS, Director General, NIRDPR.
Thank you very much. And a warm welcome to all the former Director Generals of NIRDPR. We thought that we should take up this discussion because there's a requirement from Executive Council of NIRDPR to envision a new NIRDPR and find relevance in today's context and for the future, let's say about 20 years or so or more, what tasks NIRDPR should be taking up, what direction mainly it should be headed in, and how it will reach where it wants to reach. So these are the objectives of our visioning exercise that we thought through, a little bit of brainstorming in the DG's office and with some selected faculty members here and there, made some presentations in some of the dignitaries who came our way. And one of the things that we hit upon and thought is that NIRDPR should expand its work and focus now more on improving the quality of life in the rural areas in an inclusive manner, while being an institute of national eminence and global excellence in the area of rural development. That, in short, I thought should be the vision of NIRDPR, while keeping its mission more or less constant to say that, look, we would be a leading think tank for rural development, Panchayati Raj and other Government of India ministries, and deliver our mandate through the knowledge spectrum of creating knowledge through research, applying that knowledge to various pilot scale projects, and take learnings from the pilot scale projects into capacity building activities, both for the Ministry of Rural Development, for the state departments of rural development, Panchayati Raj, and other functionaries, so that there can be better rural development programs, Panchayati Raj system in the country. Given the context that the Government of India invests almost about 2 lakh crore rupees every year in rural development and Panchayati Raj, but the expected gains don't seem to be there. There are some gains, but the kind of gains that we would be expecting through a 2 lakh crore investment over now 75 years or so. I won't say that 2 lakh crores have been invested every year during 75 years, but of this order of money has been invested, a lot of money has been invested during the 75 years since independence. And we've not been able to make as good progress as would have been expected, and or as countries like China have made. So how do we improve our system? Through the NIRDPR, because the ministry has limitations in terms of the time it can allot to various thinking activities or think tank kind of activities, improving the programs and capacity building to effectively implement those programs. So that will be our core task, and I'd like to now first invite Professor Jyoti Satyapalan to take us through this vision, and then we will call for suggestions from the former Director Generals as to way that we can take to realize this vision or to even improve upon this vision. Thank you very much. I'll now like to invite Professor Jyotis Satyapalan to make a brief presentation on vision for the NIRDPR, a new vision for the NIRDPR.
Respected DG, Dr. G. Narendra Kumar, NIRDPR, and former DJs here with us. Vijayanand sir is there, WR Reddy sir is there, and Sri Matthew C. Kundungal also with us in this deliberation on vision. I would like to, I am really thankful to DG, particularly involving me in this exercise. Last maybe 1 month time, I got an opportunity to discuss many things and also review some of the past documents related to vision mission of NIRDPR. They were supplementing his ideas last 1 month. That is the thing made me to stand here and make a short presentation. Thank you, sir. I think the starting point of visioning exercise should start from the space where we are operating, what kind of map is there in front of us. So that's what, and what kind of institution it is. Do you have anything to move these slides here? Yeah. Yeah, can we move it? If you give me that, I will move it here in the slides. Yeah. This one? Yeah. The first thing, let us remember that NIRDPR expanded. It's not only a Hyderabad center, not only the Northeast center. Now we have a center in Vaishali and also the center in New Delhi. So the branch expanded, that we have to keep it in mind while thinking the vision. The second thing is another vertical part of it. We operate with SIRDs, ETCs, and also the ALA committee mentioned about the district level institutions and also NGOs. So we expanded a lot, in terms of space. That over a period also we expanded. So this let us remember first. I move from this slide. The second thing is, if you go back to the literature that is available on vision and mission, certain points you can see that. You might have noticed this in the morning presentation of DG sir. Democratic decentralization, which is very important, a part of it. Then improve the operation and efficiency of RD personnels. So it's a capacity building of RD personnels, the functionaries. Then promote transfer of technology through social laboratories and also function as a think tank for the Ministry of Rural Development, for policy making, for designing strategies, for making planning for them, act as a think tank, policy formulation particularly, and also as a repository of knowledge on RD. It's also our responsibility to create knowledge, disseminate knowledge, keep the knowledge with us for the future purpose. This is what you see, the certain elements of vision in NIRD's past literature. Then another dimension while we thinking vision is the expansion of the centers and schools here. It is restructured now. The last 1 year, 9 months time, is a lot of restructuring happened in these schools. 7 schools are there. It's functioning formally now, and 21 centers are there here. It's touched various issues from the material well-being of the human beings to the non-material well-being. I must put it like that if you see it in a horizontal scale. So that is what you see. I'm not getting into each objectives of these centers. Each of these centers have its own mandates and also pathway to achieve the vision of the NIRDPR. That let us keep it in mind before getting into the vision. Then another thing,
if you go back to the literature on vision and mission, you see 2007-8, the Golden Jubilee time, some literature was there. Then again you see in 2016, I think it was with the W.R. Research time, there was a commissioned document to the Patna Institute that's also written and it is available with us. Then the Alak Committee report is available and there are various other committee reports available with us. And then from all these exercises and in current recently, some exercises I would like to link with these exercises. One was the TNA exercise. It was a very good exercise with Professor Murugesan. Myself was leading that. Many of the faculty members involved and tried to map the functions and functionaries of rural development and Panchayati Raj in that exercise. That also a very good exercise in that way. Then another important exercise was asking to learn from the international experience of poverty alleviation, like we got some exercise and workshops here, learning from the Argentina and also Brazil one, and then China, Korea, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, and that work still going on, what is happening in these countries to lift the people out of poverty so quickly. That was one learning we have recently, the leadership of DG sir. Then also there was another workshop from all these centers conducted is on SDGs. What is the role RD department has to play in achieving SDGs for improving the well-being of the people or to improve the ecological systems and things like that. So all these things are contributing to the vision document today. So the earlier there was some documentation on the vision and mission. That is what I have written here. It's written, the central part is democratic decentralization and also transfer of technology, social laboratory, and acting as a think tank. Everything is mentioned here. And there's also some, the mission is written, we should look into, in an analytical way, the factors determining some of these things like well-being and poverty and things like that. That is the earlier document, give us a picture. Now, let me move to the next one. Let me keep that background in your mind and see that what are the things we are doing it here. If you think that mainly the NIRDPR as personal opinion, we are working to free rural population from poverty. That was since its beginning. The poverty was the central part of it. We want to free them from the poverty. And there are other areas like food security, nutrition, and also energy security, water security, shelter for them, health, education. And nowadays we talks about social well-being also, social relationship, equity, social justice, freedom of choice. There are many other dimensions of human quality also discussing in NIRDPR. I think these all should come into our vision. All these different aspects should come into our vision. And the approach, if you to ensure all these things, what is the approach we are taking? The approach is mainly inclusive in nature. The approach is sustainable in nature. You see, inclusive and sustainable approach, and also we promote Panchayat Raj system. We believe in decentralized governance. We believe in bottoms-up approach in planning. That is a kind of approach we are taking and working on all these dimensions of human well-being or human quality of life. So what we can learn from here is human quality of life improving is coming as the central point of our vision. These are different aspects of the human quality of life. So it starts from poverty, freeing from poverty and disease, to even the ensuring the freedom of choice and rights of the people. And the action, if you look into the action, we work as a think tank. We are not only working as a think tank and formulate policies, programs, strategies for the ministry. Programming of ministry also we are supplementing the ideas there. Many other cells are operating here, DDU, GKY, NRLM, MGNR, EGS, and all. So institute this, facilitating this, capacity building point of view, morning DG sir was mentioning, research driven capacity. This word is coined recently. the research driven, there are certain functionaries really need training. There must be skill gap has to be assessed and provided training to them. But at the top layer need a research driven kind of capacity building of the policy makers also needed. So there was a tendency to see the training capacity building program partially as research driven and for the skill gap, to address that issue, the real training program that we are doing through SIRDs and NIRDs. So this is another perspective. Let me, if you keep the central point, the quality of life, I want to speak 2-3 things about the quality of life. One is the quality of life is multidimensional in nature. It is all about making people free from poverty and disease or having a long and fulfilled life, quality of life. The important thing is it varies from society to society. The perspective on this particular concept varies from society to society, culture to culture. That is a very important thing. India is such a diversified country. What quality of life you perceived in Kerala may be different from the Northeast. That we have to keep it in mind. So it's already, I said, different dimensions of it. It is all about accessing food, water, shelter, health, education, many dimensions. You can link it with the quality of life. So the quality of life coming as a central point of the vision here. Then another important thing is there are different perspectives in academic literature you see, like the European or United States, the Western, more scientific approach, they call it a human well-being approach. There are also approaches from the southern part of the globe, that is, it's called living in harmony with nature. The indigenous local knowledge and people living in harmony with nature is also treated as a quality of life. So there are another view from the Latin American countries saying that living, treating earth as a mother and living with, earth, that kind of perspective. So the perspectives also varies in this quality of life context. It's a perception from one culture to another. And if you see the literature on global scale, you can see there are many attempts to measure this, the quality of life. The measurement you can see from the traditional measurement of thinking that the quality of life is GDP related. If the GDP goes up, your quality of life also goes up. That is a one way of measuring it. And then the UNDP's, Human Development Indicator you have, and it's already proved that the GDP approach is positively correlating with the HDI approach of that. This is also another way of measuring it. Then you have other measures like genuine progress indicators. It is like incorporating all negative externalities into these calculations, like a pollution and things like that, then finding out a green GNP and a more genuine progress indicator finding out. Inclusive wealth index, more wealth-oriented kind of accounting all physical wealth and the other human-made wealth and natural wealth, and in this process and coming up with a human inclusive wealth index. Gross national happiness index, we know that the Bhutan was raised, put it at the top when we are talking about happiness index. OECD's better life indicators. So there's lots of exercise going on to measure the quality of life, if we put it. Then we are just trying to ask, is there any overlap or different perspective? And I already said that it is more multidimensional in nature, and the whole question is, in Indian rural area, how do you achieve different, how to achieve a different vision of the quality of life? Indian rural area is culturally diversified and all those things, if we keep the quality of life. That is the main challenge I would like to put. Then if that is a case, if I'm taking this concept at the center, I would like to write this way a tentative vision here and submit to this floor for discussion. The vision of NIRDPR is to create inclusive and sustainable, to achieve an inclusive and sustainable improvement in the quality of life of people living in India. It's in a one sentence I said. And I think we should deliberate on this one and come up. So it has different dimensions. The perspective on the quality of life varies from society. This is all explanation about it. I already mentioned these explanation. I don't want to repeat it again. So mission point of view, how do you achieve that? This is our goal. How do you achieve that? As a think tank of the Ministry of Rural Development and Ministry of Panchayati Raj, our mission is to work on these aspects and provide a the message for policy making, programming. That is, all flagship programs are programmed. The idea is programmed. Setting targets for, and also governance. The decentralized governance, we talks about it. So this is all part of our mission to achieve such a improved quality of life in rural area. And sustainability and inclusion as the two important values we maintain in our mission. These are the two important values. So we have to take care each and everybody when we move towards to the future. The institute facilitate this, in different ways, conducting research, adding knowledge, creating knowledge, and also through research-driven capacity building programs. Another thing, we were working earlier in government sector predominantly. Now the NGO is also part of us. So we need accountability to ensure accountable work in NGOs, and also improve the efficiency and take the fruit of the prosperity to the rural people through NGO sector. That's also a mandate of that. Then this is already mentioned, DGs are in the morning talk. There are different ways of operationalizing this mission. So we put certain points here. Research and research-driven capacity building is a one way. Knowledge repository and dissemination, research-driven policies and programs, technology innovations, then high-quality human resources we need in NIRDPR. NIRDPR human resource, particularly faculty and all, it need an improvement. Sustainable finance and value of money today, we need to find out resources for our own sustain, to sustain to the future. Then world-class infrastructure, we need it today here, and also a process excellence. And also I think the ministry is now ready to declare certain centers are centers of excellence that will add a lot of value to our thinking to the future. Pathways of each school and centers, we need each school and center. There are multidisciplinary issues, but each centers and schools are working. We need different pathways and monitoring mechanisms while moving towards the future. Certain indicators, we should monitor how each center is working towards the future. So then I have an explanation of all these different aspects. I do not time permit that, but how to operationalize each of these points. One is SIRD, and taking the SIRD into our board, and ETCs and all other rural development organizations while implementing this. This is very important. And I'll just quickly go through. And also a hub of excellence, the knowledge repository as function, that is very important. Then we should also reach even the lowest functionaries. Recently, while discussing NREGA, I'll tell you, we know many things about NREGA at a global, at a national level, we know many things, policy level, we know many things. But NIRD faculty, one thing I found that how FTO is generated at a panchayat level, they don't know. How the attendance is put at the panchayat level, we don't know much about it. This is a problem. I think we should get into not only at the global scale or at a national scale, it's also our responsibility to go and sit with panchayats and learn how the muster roll is created. We will be speaking a lot of safety net issues at the policy level, but we may not be knowing about how the muster roll is created in a panchayat. So both end we should meet. That is what this all institutions matter. The building of all these institutions matter to achieve this well-being. Then vision, the vibrant workforce, I already mentioned that. The faculty and their the career advancement of this faculty and their future, it also should be taken care in this whole. And it should be a dynamic approach. That's what the DG sir was mentioning, that we must be flexible as per the context. We should be able to change our approach to centers and schools. That dynamic nature we should bring into this one. And then value of money is very important today. If tomorrow ministry withdraw from supporting us, we should be able to sustain to the future that kind of the value of money is a main. We need more consultancy projects. We need more consultancy training programs. This is all in our agenda, and also we must be accountable to our academic work and training programs, and audit on academic work need to be introduced. How to audit academic work yearly, that's very important. So a world class, this is all I mentioned already. I think I will stop this and put it for deliberations and discussions. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
May I now invite Sri Vijayanand sir to give his views and comments on looking back to look forward for the NIRDPR.
Respected DG, Dr. Reddy and other dignitaries and friends. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and also apologies because I couldn't come because I have some finance commission commitments over the whole of this week. So first thing is the first positive impressions about NIRDPR were from Mr. B.N. Ugandhar and from Mr. Alag. Not in the context of NIR. When you talk to them, they said NIRDPR was at that time it was not, PR was not there, the thought leader in area planning in the 70s. They are even then planning commission, which used to look up to NIRDPR for help. That is the vision. So when you present all this, it means somebody dealing with it should come and ask you, we want it. Not as an agency, but to help them. That is the ultimate vision. Later, in the 80s, when Rajiv Gandhi was pushing Panchayat Raj, again he relied on NIRD for doing bulk of the work. And in 90s, I know, when the state finance commissions were being set up all over India as part of the constitutional amendment, people looked up. The state finance commissions, the only institution at that point of time which they could look up to was NIRDPR. So getting that kind of leadership is what is required. And having been in Government of India in the very same sector and looking after NIRD for 4 years, I know that what is expected from Government of India is both ideation for some new ideas, and much more is how to improve practice. That is where our contribution is. Not what livelihood is, how to make a livelihood program successful. That is what a bureaucrat or minister or anybody, state or central government, they are looking for, and I'm sure you have it. Then what could be the entry point for NIRDPR? I've been closely associated with NIRDPR for more than 25 years, because in Kerala I looked after rural development continuously, barring 3-4 years in between. And since 2012, continuously. So I know your strengths and weaknesses. Of course, I don't want to mention the weaknesses now. But entry point would be social audit. Social audit is expanding. I've been in the social audit circuit for a very long time, since 2005. There's hardly any institution which can provide the thought leadership, bring all the stakeholders together, and it's still a work in progress. So that is an area where you can really get it. The other is Panchayat Raj. Though Panchayat Raj itself is more than 25 years old, it is still, particularly after GPDP, it is becoming more and more mature. So, and it's multi-sectoral, possibly everything could be done under the rubric of Panchayat Raj. And you have a very strong Panchayat Raj center. So that is a huge opportunity now. Lack of expertise in most parts of India, barring states like Kerala, Karnataka, West Bengal, to some extent Maharashtra, there's hardly any expertise, and they are looking up. So that's the area where they will really look up to NIRD for help. We don't know how to prepare. Please help us. So that is something which I thought is very important. And transfer of rural technology. Incubation and transfer of rural technology was, again, I forgot to mention, a traditional strength of NIRDPR. Now, but then I think it got plateaued. There's a huge opportunity to revive it, particularly in agriculture, allied sectors, MSME, for the livelihoods. So that is a big area, and you have a very good base on that. Then new areas like space applications, appropriate construction technologies, and the latest thing, which is most important for rural development now, is that your climate change and local action for climate change is being thought about, discussed, but hardly, except one panchayat preparing it, I have no evidence of anybody trying to do climate change at the local level. It requires a lot of scientific effort. It's not a conventional planning kind of thing. And the local economic development. Constitution mentions economic development and social justice. The local economic development is extremely difficult. After 25 years of decentralization in Kerala, I don't think we have been able to do something. That local economic development of jobs which are required for the people. Of course, poverty they have been able to do. And that is also in the modern knowledge economy. Huge possibilities are there. And how do we really get it and do it? Then, of course, MGNRGS, for want of time, I will not get into this thing. Then what? Fiscal decentralization, which is again a challenge, which has been mentioned by all the finance commissions, down from state to the local governments, is an area which NIRD had a traditional strength, and I think you can easily come back. Now I'm a part of the audit advisory board of the CAG, and 3-4 days there was a kind of a discussion. The audit Divas was being celebrated. Secretaries of Panchayat Raj Rural Development were there. So they were very happy for them, the CAG, to say they are considering a partnership with NIRDPR to get this audit of local governments, to train people and all that, which CAG institutions have limitations for doing. Then working with the states, what a state expects from NIRD is high quality technical assistance or professional assistance, not technical in the correct sense. And it was pointed out by my guru, Mr. V. Ramchandran, practically wrote most of the ARC reports, that states learn better from each other than from Delhi. So this is a big advantage you have. So cross-learning, brilliant work is being done, but at micro level or in between level. So that is something which you can recommend to states and get it done. For your example, this NRLM came from below, and you know MGNRGS also came from the states. So a lot of these innovations come from below, and NIRDPR is in an ideal position to do this. Then it's a very difficult task. There are a lot of good people scattered around. There are potential SR Shankarans all over India. So if we can identify them and nurture them, it's very, very difficult, not easy. You can nurture 10 people who are in the first 3 years of service into doing something for rural development, particularly at the collector, post-collector kind of thing. Then for the state, SARDPRs, I have gone to most of the SARDPRs and studied them. I find, barring 3-4 of them, many of them require a lot of support, high quality support, and also liaising with the state government to improve them. Fortunately, most of them have good infrastructure and a lot of enthusiasm is there to deliver. They really are struggling, and we need to do a whole lot of work, and I think there are specific reports. And then we have mentioned it, 2-3 areas of India will require special help, the Northeast. Then, of course, the islands, Lakshadweep, Andaman, Nicobar Islands, the problems are different, and we have to do with it. And the vision I have is NIRDPR should be would serve all ministries which don't have specialist training infrastructure. There's so many ministries. Even those who have very limited kind of, like the WCD. So NIRDPR can take on much of the functions. In fact, many of the ministries are approaching NIRDPR to do this kind of thing. And like, for example, the Panchayat Raj, State of Panchayats report, the devolution index. And at one point in time, NIRD used to prepare the India Rural Development Report. All this are now there lacunae where NIRD can easily step in. And then partnerships with the top institutions of the country like IRMA, IIM Bangalore, IIT Delhi, IIT Mumbai, who are all doing, and local partnerships with your CGG, which is one point of time a top-class institution for governance. Then, of course, National Innovation Foundation, CSIR, and all that. And another very important thing, they will not give you money, but they can bring you international expertise with the UN agencies, UNICEF, UNDP, UNFPA, ILO, UNEP. They want some foothold in the sense to help because their money is also limited. So through NIRDPR, you can reach out to all the entire rural development department, and I'm sure they would be willing to cooperate. And working relationship with good NGOs for social audit, livelihoods, alternative technologies, natural resource management, and all that. A new possibility where you should have, I would request the DG to actively talk to the IIT Delhi. The Prime Minister announced a scheme called Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, where every educational institution is supposed to work in a panchayat in the vicinity. but it has not taken off as it was envisaged. Something is getting done here and there. People really don't know how you can do it, and probably NIRDPR and the SARDs could bring, you can bring 10% of India's institutions into doing this. You will be a great thing. Something which didn't come out very clearly, of course, Jyotish, in the presentation. When I interacted with the students from Africa and Eastern Europe, they made a political statement. They said Chinese people come to us and claim a lot of credit. But in India, we learn everything. You don't hide anything. You teach us everything, whether to repair a water supply system, and we can go back and do it. So this is a huge soft power opportunity. So if you can lace with the DEA and get all these people into NIRDPR and train them on different aspects of rural development, not just livelihoods and Narega, basically laying rural roads, repair of rural roads, all those things which less developed countries are facing with. And then they will certainly take you there. I'm sure you're still active there. So this international thing is not to earn money or name, but the soft power of India, that you can spread development all over India. Then, of course, international institutions like IDS or Cornell or Brown, you can. Then affording sabbatical to all international professors to come and do work in CDS. Of course, you'll have to take all the DEA other clearances. So I'll not spend much time on that. But one point was mentioned, repository of knowledge. So there's a lot of knowledge. Now we think everything is available in the net. No, most of the good knowledge is not available in the net. They are in old libraries, particularly relating to rural development. So if NIRD can bring them, use the technology and bring them to the entire rural development community, it will be of great, great use. Including, there is no history of Panchayat Raj in India. There is no history of rural development. NIRD had written some earlier versions. I'm sure we can do that because this makes us very visible. And people will refer to that hundreds of times. Students will refer to it thousands of times. That is what I thought I should mention. So you mentioned mission. I mean, I've worked in a mission and I've structured some missions in the state. What is a mission? A mission means it is a combination of Mother Teresa and NASA. On this day, we do this and we work back to the minutiae. You need 23 pages of course material, you know, and work towards that date. But NASA mission will not work without a Mother Teresa kind of dedication, selflessness. That combination is what a mission should be, and working backwards. Then there is a mandate of MOPR, which we took 1 year to prepare. With great difficulty, talking to almost every state, every expert in Panchayat Raj, activist, civil service, civil society, and we came out with a reasonably okay document, which is released by the Prime Minister on 24th of April, Panchayat Day in 2016. Get hold of a copy, and if you can develop a mandate of NIRDPR, and then each item using some framework, you can work into the details. That is the way forward. Otherwise, we have hundreds of vision statements in government repeated again and again. But this is a vision without an action plan is not a vision. So thank you very much. Wish you all the best. I've been in touch with NIRD. Unfortunately, last 1 year I could not come. But now COVID is easing, hopefully, and I can come. And I feel that I belong to NIRDPR, and that feeling will be forever. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir, for your insightful presentation, and we look forward to take your suggestions forward. And only thing I would like to mention, sir, is that only yesterday we had a discussion with the UBA from the IIT Delhi, and we're working in collaboration with them, and we're trying to move forward in a more concrete manner. Now I'd like to request Sri Matthew Kunankal to give his views and guide us.
DGNIRD, Dr. Narendra Kumar, Dr. W.R. Reddy, Sri Jyotish Satyapalan, Dr. Vijayanand, DDG Registrar, Academic, Faculty, and employees of the institute. I'm happy that the DG and the NIRD have invited me to participate in this Foundation Day celebrations. Maybe due to pandemic, last year it was not there, I think. But I have had occasion to participate in such deliberations in the past. So my first suggestion would be that we have an action plan and follow up on some of these concrete suggestions that emanate in these discussions. I'm happy that I could see some of the old faces here and also a large number of new faces. That means that the institute is new, becoming newer and newer. And as per the nature's law, the old has to give way to the new, and the new will give way to the newer ones. So therefore, if a large number of new faces are there, it is probably an indication that the institute is achieving greater vitality and strength. We are meeting at a time when the whole nation has been hit by a pandemic and the rural economy has been badly shattered and battered. The amount of suffering, I need not tell you, all of you are aware about that. People, particularly in the rural areas, are worst sufferers of this pandemic. And added to that, the calamities arising on account of the climate change, so-called climate change, and other reasons have added to the woes of the people. It is on such occasions when, if NIRD, an institution like NIRD can rise to the occasion and do things, then your services are recognized. That is noted. I remember way back in when the Latour earthquake took place, NIRD was the first to jump in and help people locally. And also when Gujarat earthquake took place, NIRD was there in the forefront, and all the services are remembered. Now the pandemic is, people don't know what to do. Even small things like how to deal with the COVID situation, basic knowledge and awareness about to deal with the situation is not there. I was wondering whether NIRD, of course, that is a point to be considered, NIRD can rise to the occasion and form a pandemic warrior groups across the country with the help of local institutions. And I'll come to that point, the networking with the local institutions, which I think is to be considered and placed on a high pedestal as a high priority action point for the NIRD. Now, let us now, when these kind of mission discussion statements and vision statements have been discussed umpteen times, so that of course I would not like to go back to that. But let us come to certain action points. That would be helpful to put straight away and quickly place and kind of put us in a position where the central government as well as the state governments would really come forward to take your help as an institution, as a premier institution. Now, what is the basic mandate of NIRD? We know NIRD is recognized as a very, very eminent training institute in the area of Panchayat Raj as well as rural development. So the question is, first question is, are we able to deliver that high quality training? If not, why? So we have to start looking from that. Are our training programs are rated high? What is the rating? What is the mechanism for rating these training programs? And also, no training can be effective unless there is a basic research program, and which NIRD is again mandated to do that. So the research programs of the institute, high quality research programs, which is now becomes the basis for a policy formulation at ministry level or state government level. Is it happening? So if research is not happening, why it's not happening? I am just making general statements. Therefore, research, in the area of research, in the area of training, our capabilities should be unquestionable. In fact, it should be appreciated at the highest level. Vijayant was mentioning about certain situations in the past where ministry came forward and took assistance of NIRD for the formulation of the 73rd Amendment and the Panchayat Raj legislation and all that. And also later NREGM, watershed management guidelines, all these. That is because the ministry felt that NIRD is an agency which is capable of delivering the goods. So when you talk about this, we have to now assess ourselves and find out, are we in a position to give that kind of a kind of formulation or policy advice to the ministry. And NIRD is supposed to be the think tank of the ministry. So think tank of the ministry, that is our strength actually. But we should be, whether we are able to make the ministry think. Are our suggestions acceptable? So if not, why? So therefore, then again this is related to a number of other issues which is already slightly flagged here. That is, our academic excellence or academic standing should be elevated to that position where everybody looks upon NIRD as an eminent institute of research. I remember a lot of longitudinal research works which we had undertaken with in collaboration with the leading institutions of the country. And all that had a certain kind of credibility. And because when you do that kind of a research, then people accept you. So therefore, when if we have to deliver goods, first of all establish the credibility. And credibility comes through excellent work. Excellent work in the area of training, research, and then also policy formulation advice, as a think tank. Now, we have, especially in the current situation, you see the rural technologies you mentioned. Small knowledge or a mere knowledge of a technology can completely transform the rural areas, rural people. Our rural technology park is a very pioneering effort. Are we able to transform and translate these technologies to the rural areas? And how do we do it? Because these are times when technologies are required by people. But have we reached that stage where we are able to say that we have transformed so many technologies, rural technologies, appropriate technologies to the people of the country? And where do we stand? So that is another area where we have to take action. Now, we as an institution may not be able to do these things alone. We had a very strong kind of networking with the SIRD state institutes, then the state rural institutes, the other institutions, and also NGOs. Now I'm told that CAPART has been merged with the NIRD, so there is a lot of technology support coming from CAPART staff. So can we synergize all these, the strong networking mechanism with the help of NGOs, SIRDs, and other institutions, and do a mammoth work. It is not some action here and there. That alone won't suffice. It has to be a visible impact made on ground through a large, strong, vibrant networking system. So that has to happen. And SIRDs used to look upon NIRD as the leader to guide and help them. Now that leadership role has to be played. And also other institutions will fall in. So therefore, that is an area where we have to probably give a little more serious thought, networking and strengthening the existing networks. Now, all these things, when we talk about this delivering goods, what is important is we have to also see internally. Do we have the sufficient systems, the manpower and sufficient conducive mechanisms to deliver the goods. That is another thing. I can't just say I will be a think tank without having anybody to help me to even formulate a kind of a research policy or even a research a policy advice kind of prescription. Therefore, when we look at the deliverables, we have to also see that internally we are strengthening and building up a system where it can deliver the goods. I don't know presently what is the manpower strength of the institution and all that, but it used to be a very, very elaborate kind of manpower system which existed, and therefore they could deliver the goods. A center with a one professor or an assistant professor or two people, and you call it a center and expecting them to deliver goods, it will not work. Therefore, there has to be sufficient manpower recruited, and that to high quality people recruited, and then similarly supporting system, administration. I understand over a period of time, we are also got into the system of what you call privatization or a kind of giving up everything, outsourcing, and outsourcing sometimes is good, sometimes not good. I remember way back in 2009 and all that, when I was the minister in Delhi, the then finance secretary had come out with a suggestion that officers should not need not have own cars, but we should hire out cars. And so that is all suggestions without understanding the basics. We found that that was not workable because some days hiring was much more costlier and more inconvenient to people than having a car. Because it makes a difference. When you are having a driver and a car of your own, your planning is much better than depending upon outside agency which may or may not work. So therefore, we have to be very practical about, as Vijayana said, we have to translate into we have to really pinpoint every action point and till the last point where the result is produced, the action results are coming. Therefore, there we have to look forward and backward and see how things are equipped, how people are put in position to deliver the goods. So an internal discussion, internal reassessment is required for delivering the goods. Now, I would not like to take much time because, as I said, lot of then another point, small point which I would like to make. We need not put our hands all over the systems, across the board and say that I will do everything. Please concentrate on 2-3 core areas. That is enough. Because our problem is that we are looking into a large number of things at the same time without any kind of sufficient backup to do that. Therefore, when our operational capacity is minimal, we should also cut or look into or limit our priorities to 1 or 2-3 core areas. Rural health sector is going to be a very important now onwards. We are slowly coming out of the corona, but that does not mean that we are going to be out of corona. Corona is going to be there, but we have to plan. And how the rural health sector can be a kind of touched by the activities of NIRD for the benefit of the rural population. And these are the areas where actually when you do something, it will be noticed not only by the rural ministry, but also the health ministry and all other ministries. Because everybody is affected by that. Now the most important concern for all of us is our life, our survival and all that. Therefore, rural health sector is going to be a very prominent area. So when we look at now priorities or reprioritization is happening, we should look at some core issues like rural health sector, transfer of technology and such things, and also simultaneously enabling environment is created by equipping the or improving the manpower systems and also other systems. So these are some of the areas, and I would also say that it is these kind of discussions, it requires more time, and one discussion like this may not be sufficient. You have to, there's nothing wrong in occasionally having this kind of consultations with maybe deputy director generals or director generals and also other people who are got some insight into these things in the past, and of course taking into account the new ideas and then really working on a regular basis, at least on regular intervals rather than once in a while, because after that again you push it back and it is the cupboard. It does not yield results. Therefore, it could be further discussions on this. I am sure the leadership of the new Director General, who is enthusiastic about this thing. I am very happy. I compliment him because in spite of all these corona problems, he has still decided to have the Foundation Day. As you know, Foundation Day is a very important day. It's a stock taking occasion of what we do and what we want to achieve. Foundation Day reports of NIRD has been always were received with a lot of esteem. You will be looked upon as a very major kind of important document for policy prescription. Therefore, these kind of occasion, these kind of efforts made by NIRD are very important. I congratulate the Director General and all other people associated with the institute for taking this step. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to meet you and share some of my thoughts. But I think I have not completed, but it will take time, because a lot of other things at the grassroots level or the cutting edge level, which are very important. You may have a machine, but the machine will not work if there's a nut is missing in there, isn't it? So these nuts and bolts are very important, as important or more important than the superstructure. Therefore, those things are also important to understand that. Understanding the people, understanding the delivery mechanisms is also very important. Those things cannot be discussed in a forum like this, or it requires more detailed deliberations. We would be happy to kind of help in this process. Once again, wish you all the best. Maybe next year, I look forward to a situation where the ministry says, here is an institute which is our think tank. They boast of that institute and say that, okay, NIRD is now our think tank. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And now, as we approach towards the next session, I'd like to invite Dr. W.R. Reddy, who's my immediate predecessor, to give his views and guide us on way forward for NIRD and its vision. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon to everybody. Mr. Dr. Nagendra, Mr. Matthew sir, Professor Jyotish, dear friends, students, and I think Anand Sinha is online, is probably watching this important occasion. Let me congratulate for this 63rd annual Foundation Day celebrations of NIRDPR. As Mr. Matthew rightly said, it is an occasion to introspect and then lay the path forward. And I think I should congratulate Dr. Narendra for taking this initiative to rekindle the activities, and I wish him good luck. Along with that, I wish to request him that he may be staying here long put for long innings so that the institution can have the benefit of his leadership. Dear friends, NIRDPR is an autonomous organization, and no other governmental body would have this much freedom, autonomy to experiment, to try out, explore, and pave the way for new paths for rural development. Rural development is a huge area, huge canvas, and we should keep experimenting, keep exploring, coming up with ideas, and then find the appropriate processes and tools to translate these ideas into action. Of course, I'm happy that we have come out of the dark shadow of COVID, and of course some dark shadows which specifically this institution had for some time, and we have come out of that. I'm very happy to say that. I would like to mention the global scenario. Of course, the last 70 years we had done exceedingly well in various specters, but I don't think that is enough, still a long way to go. While addressing the evolution of our vision, to rethink the vision, to reformulate our approach, and I think the total global scenario or the position of our country, position of our rural India in terms of the other similarly placed countries would be relevant. I was going through some news reports in terms of global hunger index, we have slipped down, human freedom index, we have slipped down. I'm not taking the exact the statistics. Gender gap slipped down, and as I understand, to fill the gender gap, which we keep talking, we keep telling, it is estimated that we might take about 265 years to bridge that gap if we want to really bring the gender equality. So that is the journey which we have to cover. The labor participation has come down, and there are more impoverished people because of COVID. Many more families, millions of families have fallen back into poverty trap. So it is a humongous task for the whole machinery, the whole group of stakeholders who are working in this sector. Of course, there are a lot of positives. Of course, the COVID has reoriented our whole approach. As we were seeing the virtual platforms that have come in to help us, we had the fortune of having the presence of Honorable Governor by being in Puducherry, participating in this important auspicious occasion. The great farmers' contribution to keep feeding us with bountiful and stockpiles of food. There are many more, but the journey is still far, far away to reach our target. As we are focusing, and I think I should appreciate that, focusing on the vision statement and taking the various cross-sectional views would help in formulating the exact vision. You know that the rural development sector, there cannot be one single sentence vision forever to come. It has to change, it keep evolving. We have to keep improving, we have to keep changing to the circumstances that are available. And I think this is the right time to move forward in that direction. Few points on what exactly needed for us in NIRD to take on. Of course, the decentralized action on a saturation mode. We are in the sector of building rural development leaders, capacity building of suggestions which have made some quick actions, I think, based on the existing scenario, I would like to mention here. NIRDPR is doing everything on the earth. And I think as Mr. Professor Jyotish has mentioned, other speakers have mentioned, you name it, we have some activity in the form of research or training or something or the other. But what is required is, out of all these blocks, which blocks are going to impact the most? We need to identify that. If you say the quality of life, which are the blocks, which are the steps which are going to impact that ultimate quality of life of the human being in the rural ecosystem? And we have to focus on that. So I think identifying those blocks, steps, would be key to lay down the exact mission or action strategy to achieve, suppose if you decide that quality of life of the person. I think that is a very good idea. focusing with a vision of improving the quality of life of a rural person. So we have to identify those and focus on that, put our energy, and then do whatever that is required to achieve that. I think towards that, to achieve, high quality research is required. As Mr. Vijayanand has mentioned, research-based planning, research-based models, development models, will give us the background ideas, and based on that we can ideate, we can pilot those ideas, we can take the feedback and then go for the capacity building and then creating those leaders, 250,000 leaders which I mentioned. So a very high quality research approach is required. No doubt NIRDPR had been doing a lot of research, but I think it has to be stepped up in terms of both quality and quantity. And faculty alone may not be enough to do. They have to connect with other institutions, other agencies, both national and international, to scale them up. In the last 1.5 years, I had been reading the print media, and I see a lot of articles from Ajim Premji Institution or Ashoka University professors and IPFP and so many other organizations, but unfortunately not many from NIRDPR. I haven't seen a single article in the prominent newspapers to propagate, to communicate what exactly our thinking is. So we have to be there in the public domain to present our ideas, present our action, present our work which is being done, communicate. That presence will attract so many other organizations to willing to work with you, willing to work with the institution. They will not come just like that. Yes, there is a goodwill of the institution which we had been capturing, we had been encashing all these years. But I think we have to create that goodwill further so that we can attract large number of good minds to work with us, to work in this sector. Scale up research in terms of quality and quantity. Ideation, piloting, feedback, piloting, because we have to implement what we are telling. We have to actually try out on the ground. Like I think the social audit goes and does the actual social audit. Based on that, they take the feedback. Or now the Panchayat cluster development program, which is being tried out. So we have to soil our hands, go and implement it. Then only we realize what all the problems, issues, and then reorient our thinking. And then readjust whole our SOP and then move forward for better results. Our research should always be prospective, not postmortem. Postmortem is definitely required to a certain extent, but look for the ideas which are prospective, which can really give out-of-box ideas which can be taken and then put before the ministry. That's how an NIRDPR can become think tank. Ultimately, an NIRDPR should not get relegated to, okay, ministry wants this training program, so we keep on doing it. We had been doing excellently in that. But that's not enough. I think we have to go with our own prospective ideas to the ministry that, well, you are doing this program like this. Why not we try like this? The result is likely to be better, which we have tried out in a small pilot. So that is the requirement of the day. Keep generating ideas and work on in a connected way. Enlist high-level minds and work with them. Collaborate and connect with that sort of people. There is a facility I think we could not utilize very effectively, like junior fellowship, senior fellows, and so on and so forth, if required, that need to be expanded. And in fact, we already have the approved systems in NIRDPR where, like, an expert wishes to come, let us say, from US or from UK and come and work for a month here. We provide the hospitality and then they take up a particular topic. A faculty can be attached with that, and then they can work on a very high level research and then produce a document and then leave? Can we attract large number of such people? It doesn't cost much. They come on their own. They don't require a very heavy remuneration, but you can attract, like, let us say, a very good RD mind from a very good university across the globe or within India, and then he or she can stay put here for a month or 2 months or 3 months with our hostel facility and then the canteen or mess, whatever it may be. They would love, they would like to. Large number of such people can be attracted and they can add, multiply your hands. Not that everywhere we have to go and recruit. So tap that resource. And of course, the existing faculty, high-level development, faculty development programs, though of course we have started a large number of such initiatives, but it has to be scaled up to very high level, like deputing to other universities, other countries, other excellent institutions. In terms of these ideation is a continuous process, constant process. It cannot stop. Okay, once we do it and then we can wait for next 2 years. No. I suggest that there could be a group of high thinking group who can view the whole rural development ecosystem from 360-degree perspective and keep suggesting the ideas. With your daily run around, that may not be possible to focus on such high level. But I think under the leadership of the DZ, with some both external, internal minds, high-level minds who have connect with the RD and Panchayat Raj system, can come together at a frequent interval, maybe once in a quarter, once in 3 months, or once in 2 months, depending on the necessity, and spend half a day and chit-chat and then come up with, they bring in what other institutions are doing, that inputs, and then from that ideas can flow, and then that can become source for our futuristic prospective research in this sector. I think when we talk of quality of the people, quality of life of the people, we may have to elaborate the scope. As I was reading somewhere, the Harvard Business School has done a long-term study on multiple people across the globe. Who is the happiest person and who is living, the longevity is the highest? The person who has that social connect, who has that ability to connect with the neighborhood, the neighbor family, and especially in the present context of social media, which is dividing, creating the walls and barriers. Maybe virtually we are connected, but physically, mentally we are not that connected. So the cultural milieu has to be taken into account if you're talking about the quality of life, good quality of life. Maybe NIRDPR has to look at what cultural ethos, values are having in that village, or is creating that synergy in that village, creating that happiness in that village. Maybe that is another area which is going to open up. Dear friends, it's a very, very happy occasion to be back with you. And I have all confidence on the faculty of NIRDPR and the SIRDPRs and the state institutions and other staff members to take these ideas forward and really create an NIRDPR as a real center of excellence and create National Institute of Excellence in the rural development Panchayat Raj sector. And I'm sure under the leadership of Mr. Dr. Narendra, it is possible. I wish you all the best and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your insightful presentation and for your ideas, and which are very motivating to take NIRDPR to a new plane. And this session, we have spoken about the NIRDPR's vision of focusing on inclusive improvement in the quality of life in rural areas, while moving NIRD to be an institute of national eminence and global excellence, by being a useful think tank for the Ministry of Rural Development through research-driven capacity building support for the ministry, for the state-level functionaries and district-level functionaries. In that direction, we had this discussion, Secretary Sir. We call it looking back to look forward, where the former DGs have contributed and told us about what lines of work we have of the past we are now missing, and we can gainfully build upon them to make NIRD more vibrant. And we've also had suggestions on how the quality of training can be taken to a higher level. And Dr. W.R. Reddy presenting his ideas on how there can be an organic linkage in the chain of thoughts from identifying proper blocks of work, focusing on high quality research, and motivating at least 2.5 lakh passionate leaders in every panchayat. Through that, we can bring about transformation in the rural scenario. So these have been the broad highlights of this session, Secretary Sir. And I'd like to now take this opportunity to invite Secretary Shri Nagendranath Sinhaji to give his address on the occasion of this Foundation Day. As we all know, he is the chairman of our Executive Council. He has been constantly guiding us, motivating us to do well, to perform well, and to help us overcome our problems in NIRDPR. And we, while being thankful to him for all the support that he has extended to NIRD, its faculty, helped us achieve what we could achieve and move us forward to a higher plane. I'd like to invite the Secretary Rural Development, Shri Nagendranath Sinhaji, to deliver his Foundation Day address. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Dr. Narendra Kumar, Dr. Reddy. I'm unable to see the name of the other colleagues on the dais, but esteemed colleagues on the dais and the faculty members. First of all, let me congratulate all of you on the eve of the 63rd Foundation Day of the NIRDPR. And indeed, it's a very happy day, and I'm really sad that because of engagements that couldn't have been avoided, I am unable to be with you. I would have been far more happier if I had the privilege of being with you and interact with you. We heard excellent address from Dr. Reddy, and I was unable to hear the other guests on this occasion. I'm sure they would have been as illuminating and as thought-provoking as Dr. Reddy's was. And I'm sure NIRD would take a lot of direction and thought ideas as to how the institutions should move forward. For us, NIRD is a very important institution. And for preparing little bit, whatever time I had, I was looking through the report of Dr. Y.K. Alag committee, and then the standing committee of the Parliament, which examined the NIRD's functioning way back in 15-16, and all those documents I was trying to go through. So one of the ideas that comes out very clearly from those documents, and I read from the address portion that I was here of Dr. Reddy, is that the rural realities are changing. For this institution to stay alive to the current rural realities and the future rural realities, we need to kind of mold ourselves, orient ourselves so that the institutions' relevance for the policy making, for the capacity buildings are in tune with what should be expected of such an institution and what should the rural areas need or get from such an institution or the network of institution that it heads. So what are those realities? Let us ponder for some time. One is that the nature of the rural areas is changing. Previously, what we used to think that the most of the population resides in the rural areas is still true, but the rural areas are also urbanizing and the urbanization is also growing. So both realities are there. Then you have a large number of people going out of the rural areas because the jobs are not as much as they should be. We are also seeing that the rural areas, the kind of agriculture that they used to practice is also undergoing a lot of change. Much greater involvement of the mechanization. We are also seeing that the diversity in production is also coming. More focus on horticulture, the livestock production, the dairy production, etc. are coming. You would be quite happy and also surprised to know that 50% of the manufacturing output comes from the rural areas. More than 25% of the service output comes from the rural areas, and these numbers are sometime off between 2010 to 2015. So these realities would have also changed in between, because the urban areas, as we see, the new industrialization, etc., or new manufacturing activities are not taking place. These are going to the rural areas. But we are also seeing that the degree of automation is growing, so jobs are not. So these are all the realities which we are confronted with, and on the other hand, we see that there are a lot of programs which aim to address the issues of the poverty and the rural areas on a saturation basis. Even I mean, you take the program of NRLM, it wants, at least has the ambition to cover all the SAG women who come from the deprived families. You take the example of the drinking water, Ghar Nal. So it aims to cover all the households. You take the example of electricity, it aims to cover every household. Similarly, the issue of sanitation. So the rural areas, these civic facilities are being developed on a very large scale, and most of them, I mean, even if they don't happen in about 2 years' time, but in 5 years' time, we should see that the level of basic amenities in the rural areas will increase very substantially. Similarly, if we see the way the connectivity, particularly the digital connectivity, is growing within the rural areas, that is also as what you see in the rural areas. And with the digital connectivity, a lot of amenities and services which ride on the digital media will also come in. So our ability to access the rural population would go up. Similarly, the rural areas, rural citizens' ability to access what is happening all around the world would also go up. So that kind of tells us the changing rural reality and the need to kind of orient ourselves to the task that we have in order to be able to effectively serve the rural areas in the, with the best quality of service through this ministry and through other ministries and the state governments and the entire network of the institutions built around the rural areas. Now, let me take up this issue of NIRD being a think tank. So NIRD, certainly this ministry regards the NIRD as the think tank. But let us also see the examples of other think tanks which are in existence. You would certainly regard NITI as a think tank, and there are many other think tanks in the capital and then all around the country. The question and the issue that the NIRD community needs to ask itself is that are we matching ourselves, or if not exceeding, and if not being at the par with the leading think tanks around the world in the issues that we address and the new thought processes and new thinking that we are able to bring. The new themes that we are able to address, that issue we need to address very squarely. So our publications, as Dr. Reddy mentions, also newspaper pieces, the blogs, the articles, the researches, new modes of implementing the programs, the pilots, etc. All should lead us to position NIRD as the premier institution as far as thinking on the rural development is concerned. And not only for this ministry, but I would say that if we want to serve the rural areas, it is the rural citizens who are at the forefront of the service that they should receive. And therefore, whatever needs are there of the rural people, we should be in a position to address. If through ourselves, our programs, fine. If not, then by effectively networking so that we are able to triangulate their needs, we are able to position and converge different programs and institutions so that we are in a position to serve them better. So let me take one thought that we have been grappling with. Honorable Prime Minister, when he interacted with the secretaries on 18th of September this year, then one of the thoughts that he gave to us that we should eradicate poverty in the next 5 years to come. We know that it's a difficult task, but this is a task which is also worth addressing if, as an institution, as a rural development community, we are kind of assuming the mantle of institution which is to act as a think tank. One of the approaches that the ministry is now taking up is the issue of addressing it through the multi-dimensional poverty index. So whatever are the indicators which constitute the multidimensional poverty index, if we are able to address them, and obviously they would be addressed not only by programs by the concerned flagship ministries or their programs, but also by their programs effectively liaising and coordinating with other programs, with the rural institutions and all of that. So one of the requests that I have to make on this occasion is for the NIRD to kind of work with the ministry and NITI, because we are requesting NITI to kind of provide the effective convergence and coordination with the other ministries by providing district-wise or possible even lower level of at lower level of aggregation the different indicators drawing from the different program statistics or surveys or whatever, and see if in the next 5 years we are in a position to lift the rural population of the multidimensional poverty to the best possible extent. As far as I can recall, we currently, our 27% of the population at this moment is said to be below the multidimensional poverty. And if we are able to say bring it down to, let's say, 5%, that would be quite a huge achievement, and NIRD will have a huge role to play, in my opinion. The other issue which I would like to you to kind of heed is the issue of NIRD being the apex of the network that heads. So NIRD by itself does a part of the activity. Rest of the activities are handled, particularly those at the grassroots, by the associated institutions such as SIRDs, such as the ET Extension Training Centers and other institutions within the network. So the question that we should ask ourselves is, are we in a position to kind of appraise the situation of the state institutes of rural development? Are we in a position to take up initiatives for their improvement? Are we in a position to at least sensitize the powers that be in the rural areas to make sure that they pay heed to the issues? I find it particularly appalling that a person with 6 to 7 years of service becomes the head of the SIRD. I find it appalling that the institutions get converted as the COVID centers and they continue to remain closed. I find it appalling that there are no regular faculties. I find it appalling that the institutions do not have autonomy. I find it appalling that they have very little resources, while the mandate that they have to serve is as huge as we have heard different leaders articulate on this matter. If you are addressing 70% of the population, or if you take different numbers, 60% of the population, and they address institutions as diverse as PRIs or SHGs or similar other community level voices and presences, and we are not able to serve them through the capacity building at the state level, and the institutions are not strong, then we have kind of not been as effective. I saw this question being asked very often in the standing committee, that whether people are aware of the NIRDPR activity. I think it's a wrong question. The question that they should ask is that whether the training and capacity building activities that are being done and spearheaded by NIRDPR is what is reaching out to the people on the ground or not. It's not that the NIRDPR should take the central position or central role or should be visible. I think that's a wrong question. The issue is that through the network that we had, are we able to reach out to the rural institutions and rural people and rural leaders? And we should pay attention to the strength of these institutions. We should, if necessary, be vocal about it. Let's bring out publication. Let's host functions in which the strength and weaknesses of different institutions are brought out. Let us send out yearly assessment to the chief secretaries and chief ministers, saying that these are your weaknesses. Please attend to them, and until unless you do them, you will not be doing justice to the rural constituency that you have. The third area which I wish to take up, and I'm sorry I'm not as well prepared as my predecessors have been able to. Narendra reminded me just yesterday. So I'm taking some thoughts and expanding and articulating them. So one of the thought was that the NIRDPR should be a hub of the national network of related institutions in the capacity building, in the research, knowledge creation, and the policy advocacy as far as the rural constituencies are concerned. This was a thought articulated by Dr. Y.K. Elad's. And I think this is one area where we have done some work, but where we have to do a big deal of work. We have to be cognizant of the fact that all these institutions are working in the rural areas. They may have different areas of focus, but many of such institutions are working. IITs, IIMs, central universities, state universities, training institutions, policy think tanks. All of them are working. So are we kind of bringing all their thoughts together? Are we kind of laying down an agenda for these institutions to take up? Although it may be a very tall order for us to be kind of claiming that we have led agenda. But I think if we, as an institution, as a hub of the national network on the issues as far as they relate to the rural areas, are able to lay down certain areas, priorities, I think many people get motivated. Many people get a place to articulate and on this integrated framework, a lot of activities can be brought together and which would ultimately be impactful as body of collective knowledge is able to impinge on the problem at hand. Otherwise, what happens is that all of us are working at silo, and our collective impact is not as much as as it should be by aggregating the individual impact. So I think we should appeal to the sense of the nation building that all the organizations working within India and many out of the taxpayers' money should be imbued with is of collectively working towards the rural areas and the rural people and rural citizens. So I think this is one area where we need to work a lot, and I would certainly agree with Dr. Reddy when he exhorted the NIRD faculty members to be writing often on the areas of concern of the rural areas and rural constituency. If we don't write, then the appeal of others to come to this network to be able to work together is diminished. So we have to also work towards establishing ourselves as thought leaders, people who are thinking deeply, people who bring on the ground knowledge of the rural areas and are forward looking. So this will be extremely critical. One of the next themes that I would like to take up, and which is a kind of related, this was what Professor Alag also recommended, and this related to setting up regional networks of one each in each agroclimatic region, and kind of NIRD and the SIRDs acting as hubs of these regional networks and pulling all of them together for acting on the rural areas. So this, although for the Northeast we have an institution, and probably to that extent because of the geographical situation that it is in, it is able to serve that function. But as far as other agroclimatic regions are concerned, we will have to work hard in order to be able to do justice to the vision that was laid down by the Alag Committee and accepted by the Ministry. The other issue which I would like to bring to your notice is the issue of the climate change and the different discussions that are taking place as on account of India's commitment. So climate change is real. I mean, cannot be denied. Hyderabad recently had a lot of floods, unseasonal and huge floods which have not been witnessed for a long time. So how do we make sure that we are able to create, address the change, and are we able to map out all such areas, and are we able to kind of offer solutions to the ministry and to other ministries of the government of India and to the state government so that the vulnerabilities are handled? Many tech solutions are being worked out. For example, one of the work that NIRDPR is also in is that the natural resources through drawing up watershed development plans based on the remote sensed and geo-coordinated data that is available from the ISRO and National Remote Sensing Center. And the gathering would be quite happy to know that such plans have been prepared for more than 2 lakh gram panchayats. There is another partnership being worked out with the FCDO of the government of UK for climate proofing all these plans. These provide us some scope of work. Then the area of bringing down the energy intensity of the economy. As you would be aware that the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned that he would raise the energy, he would probably bring down the energy intensity of the economy to about 45% or so, some such number, if I recall correctly. So bringing down the energy intensity, whatever activities are happening in the rural areas is a task which is worth doing. So that would mean probably that instead of the burnt bricks, we use baked bricks. We use a lot of solar energy into our cooking. We use solar power generated grids or other renewable energy source based grids. So the possibilities are very large, and forward-looking institutions should work in these areas. And I'm sure NIRDPR would also like to work in these areas. The interventions of science and technologies is quite large, and NIRDPR is also doing its bit by setting up a rural technology park. But we should also ask ourselves, is that the task that we should be doing? I mean, I'm not saying that whatever was done was not appropriate at that time, but in future, because the nature of the technology is changing very fast, and if we pick some technologies, maybe we can help, but would the need of the rural areas be served better by documenting the technologies, linking them with the institutions which are already spearheading these technologies, or by setting up institutions within our academies within our campuses for demonstrating those technologies. In my opinion, we should act as a clearinghouse. We should document them better. We should help the rural areas and the rural people get access to those technologies than investing our energy in setting up such centers, because at the best we could demonstrate only few technologies, while the technological possibilities which are available to people are much more than what is and what can be demonstrated in a campus. So we should use and take recourse to the electronic facility that has become available by way of the internet based cataloging, to be able to demonstrate all these possibilities, looking at the cost and consequences of all these technologies and the institutional and other supports that are needed for helping these technologies succeed. One of the thoughts that also comes to me is on the issue of the development of the techno-managerial cadres. That is one of the core tasks that the NIRDPR is handling. So we need to see and probably go beyond the Panchayati Raj institutions and the Panchayati Raj workers to see what kind of supports that we need. And the NIRD committee is aware of the fact that the model that currently is succeeding in the rural areas is that of the para workers. So, for example, you have a Pasu Sakhi, and that helps drive the livelihood activities in the livestock activities in the rural areas. You have Krishi Sakhi, you have Mat Sakhi, and you would have people helping the area of sanitation. You will have people helping the area of rural electrification and all of that. So, one of the thoughts that come to me is that the NIRDPR should do greater mapping of the possibilities of the such kind of people who would effectively deliver service and supplies in the rural areas, and we should see that the state governments and the ministries provide an enabling framework for their orientation, their training, providing them toolkit, recognizing them. So if we are able to do that, in addition to what we do for the Panchayati Raj functionaries, we will be doing a good service to the institution, and so CRPs in many other areas, also in terms of bookkeeping or these areas, banking, banker Sakhi, etc., will also be covered within the scope. So I think we should look at the possibilities that is offered to expand the profile of the service providers in the rural areas and range for an enabling framework of these service providers that would enrich the rural areas in terms of more service availability in the rural area. The NIRDPR has been adopting villages for quite some time. One of the suggestions given to the NIRDPR by the standing committee was that they should adopt many more villages. than what they are doing. I'm not sure I'm in sympathy with that kind of argument, but what we should, in my opinion, be doing is to, and I'm sure we are doing, is to document how the rural areas are changing. Those are the living laboratories, in some sense, of the rural areas. And if we have snapshots of the rural life, their aspirations, their needs, the changing livelihoods, the changing social situation, these would be quite valuable sense of doing research with regard to the changing situation of the village and the rural areas over a long period of time. That's what many social scientists do when they take up a cohort and follow them up for a long period to come. So if we have been doing this, let's continue to do that, but let's be far more diagnostic and documentative than we are in a position to track the situation of the rural areas for a long period of time and thereby afford the researchers the opportunity of tracking the rural reality over a long period. Both with regard to the interventions, with regard to the changing social reality and rural reality, and what works and what not works. Suggestion that was offered of working to develop the rural leadership and the vision that was made of it's a great vision. I have seen the kind of transformation that is brought about if people are exposed in the right manner. Near the state capital of Jharkhand, Ranchi. So they went to Ralegaon Sindhi and they all decided to contribute towards cleanliness, towards prohibition, towards working together to ensure that the social ills are kicked away. And so if we have leadership which is by exposing that person to the possibilities that is offered by different programs as well as the different institutions that are working towards rural areas, I'm sure it would make a great degree of change, and we the Panchayati Raj institutions would be of help, but let us also identify others who could be similarly impactful. I assure on part of the ministry that the issues that end with the ministry will be handled, but I'll also request the NIRD to see that some of the issues that they can themselves handle are handled, for example, recruitment of faculty members and other members, finalization of the recruitment rules, and so on, bringing more cohesiveness, more clarity in the vision of the institution. That would be quite helpful, and if